Well, some of those leaked details have emerged this morning, and I'm sure Anthony Albanese will be talking about this later on, but it references a $15 billion plan to revive manufacturing in Australia, to basically build ships, trains, cars, etc. in Australia again. How are you going to do that?
Well, Pete, we're going through now still the biggest economic crisis since World War II, and in the aftermath of World War II, we had to rebuild Australia, and to be frank, we need to do that again now. We've seen massive drops in employment over the last 12 months. Unemployment is still high, but we've in particular seen a big drop in the number of apprentices and big drops in manufacturing. Half the jobs that have been created in the last 10 years have been in our CBDs, in the CBD in Sydney and in the CBD in Melbourne. But in the outer suburbs and the regions, we've seen atrophy. We've seen lots of job losses, particularly in blue-collar jobs. What Albo's talking about here today is a fund to reverse that, to create more jobs. There's plenty of places in Australia where people used to have a job, working in construction or working in manufacturing or food processing, that are gone now. If we're serious about learning the lessons of the last 12 months, then we're going to have to turn that around. The
problem is, and why so many jobs, in particular the manufacturing sector, have moved offshore, is because wages are too high. Businesses can't afford it. So how do you just reverse that?
Well, we've had this conversation before, Pete, about specialising in areas where we're better than the rest of the world, but also recognising that there are things that just frankly need to be made here in Australia. Think about this. Before the pandemic, the two places around the world that made the most masks, surgical masks, were Wuhan and Milan, ground zero for the pandemic. We had to learn fast, learn how to make everything from hand sanitizer to ventilators. The last 12 months should be a lesson to us that we need to make more here. Now, whether that's masks or ventilators, or whether it's making sure that you don't just dig lithium out of the ground in Western Australia or anywhere else in the country, but can value add and turn that into cathodes and anodes that make batteries. That should be the challenge that we meet in policies like this.
Well, the government has put on 55,000 jobs that it's created in the last 3 months. That's just in the manufacturing sector. How much more can you do?
Oh, well, for everybody out there that is still unemployed or underemployed, they'd say a lot more. There's about 2 million Aussies that don't have a job or don't have enough work at the moment. There's about 100,000 fewer people working in manufacturing today than there were 10 years ago. I can take you out to my electorate in Western Sydney, Pete, and show you the empty factories. There's a lot more that the government can